Pato O'Ward, congrats. Hey, you got the win. Great job. How are we feeling? Does this feel good?
Feels good, man. Feels real good. It's always, that first one of the year always hits different than like, second or third if you're lucky enough to get a second or third.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Um,
know.
Glad to one day you'll I know you'll get there. I know you'll get there. People are gonna go crazy. Um, but man, I it was a great weekend. Some a very crazy race too for me, and I believe for other people as well. Um, those yellows are always full of surprises. um, so that kind of put us out of contention for the win there in those last 10 laps. So we had to try and fight our way as fast as possible towards the front. But you know how it is, especially with how I wouldn't say risky, but I mean that second lane wasn't like just super easy to use. Like you needed to make sure that your car was where you needed it to be.
The first thing I want to ask, because I text you about this, but race two, you were following me on the second to last stint, and we were just hustling along, and I had one of the probably biggest moments of my life on an oval, and you were able to get by me there. I still have not seen my onboard of this, but I would like to hear your opinion of what it looked like I was about to do into turn one, because you had a front row seat. I just wanted to hear what you thought, because I still haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, so I honestly I didn't really see the start of the move, or start of the like the tail getting happy. I saw you like when you were sideways already, and I was like, "Ooh, this guy just crapped his pants for sure." Because then you caught it, so I was like, "Okay, I don't think he's gonna go to the wall, but I definitely think he's gonna have some marble on his tire." So I was and I just dove under you, but man. I know the problem with ovals is that it doesn't look as bad as it feels. And
Maybe, maybe.
it did look, obviously me knowing what it feels like to get those moments
Yeah,
from
you're
time to
very loose
time.
all the time.
I I knew that was a big one. I knew that wasn't just a wiggle. So
Very.
glad you were all right though. You didn't, I mean, you caught it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we might as well still have finished last anyway with the way that yellow played out, but it is what it is. I want to talk about race one, because obviously that's why you're here. You're a winner. I thought it was a tough physical race, but it was a race that didn't have we at the beginning. I feel like everyone was like, okay, we're gonna save fuel. We're gonna try. We're gonna see what's going on. Like I sat behind Josef, and then once we all kind of realized that that's probably not going to happen, then it was just pushing the rest of the race. Is that kind of what you wanted? Or were you guys struggling with right front tire temperatures at any point? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, the pace was quite slow when everybody was saving. And then how the yellows started falling, then that kind of like put everybody on the same strategy, I would say. Maybe not so much saving anymore, which I think it was a good thing for the racing, because otherwise you never get by anybody, and it's just a fault of the leader trying to save as much as you can. So honestly, I wasn't trying to get too ahead of like, oh, finally we're not saving, because it could have changed like that. So I was just kind of like doing what I was told and just basically trying to open my options really, in terms of windows and strategy. But it was a full push there in the end, man. Like those front right tire temps were getting up there, and it was always something that I was watching. But at some point, you just don't have anything else to do. If that pressure keeps getting higher and higher, either you start giving track position, where that's the last thing you want to be doing, or you just risk it. And I did my best, but I wasn't even paying attention. I was just paying attention for the guy behind not to pass me.
I think I should have done your strategy and not quite pay as much attention to it, because I feel like everyone was there were a lot of people that were worried. Obviously, the Andretti cars struggled with that, but it did make it to where I would say at some point, because even race 2, I believe you had to conserve your right front a little bit early.
I was.
You were right behind me, and I had heard via my team that they were like, "Oh, Pato's already looking after his right front." So I was like, "Oh, okay, great. That means there's not as much pressure on me." So it was definitely something that people kind of had to keep track of, which made it interesting for us, I would say.
Yep. No, definitely. Race 2, I would say, was more of a theme for me, because race 1, it was helped a lot by the fuel safe.
Yeah, without a doubt. So once we got a little bit side by side, because in race 1, I would say race 2, people got a little bit more brave. But race 1, it seemed like the first stint, again, no one really wanted to be the first one up there. But
You were the first one up there.
I did.
You were the first one up there, and then I quickly followed.
But you had to, right? And then as you navigated through traffic, that's where it seemed like it became a little bit more nerve-wracking. And I know race 1 wasn't as much of a difficulty maybe as race 2. I saw you might have struggled behind some traffic a little bit more than you would have liked. I remember you trying to pass Jacob Abel for like 10 laps, and it looked very frustrating. Eventually you got him. But it's one of those things that tell people about like the risk reward. Like you're in a good spot. You know that there might be grip up there, but if you do go up there, you might be in the wall.
Yeah, the problem is that whenever the problem is the car in front. If the car in front is picking a lane, then you're fine. The problem is when they start changing every lap, which is what Abel was doing, then that puts you either, if you pick high, you have to go higher or lower. And the problem when you go higher is that you're going to run into a limit where there's no more grip, man, and you're flying into the wall, or you're going to just get on the marbles and like lose a lot of track position. So it's a constant, like, you know, where's your limit? How high can you go, or how high can you comfortably put the car there? And then otherwise you just need to find another option, really. If that was what I was struggling with, was I couldn't really go full second lane. I could go 1.5, maybe right on the verge of 2 lanes, you know, but I couldn't go like 2 or 2.5, like getting half a wing with clean air. Couldn't do that. So, yeah, that was the car that I struggled to pass the most, which obviously happened multiple times during the race till he shunted. That made it much easier. But yeah, it was just in race 2, I wasn't as good in traffic, and that's where I really struggled the most, because I think pace-wise I was there, but I couldn't get through traffic as good as Palou, Malukas, Josef.
There was a lot of talk about this weekend, right? And people thought the race was going to be terrible. They're like, oh, a lot of negative Nancy's, I would say, because of last year. And last year, again, was not a great, obviously, you know, not terrible obviously for you, but there seemed to be maybe a little bit more judgment, I believe, than was necessary, because I think both races ended up more entertaining than I thought, ended up being a little bit more movement on track than I thought. I mean, is that, yes. I would say, I want to just tell our fans, like, maybe let's not judge anything before we get there, because I think us as drivers, I think we're getting braver, honestly, and we're able to go and create that new line for these short oval races. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do believe that this year was, you know, more than twice better than last year. Last year is probably one of the most boring races I'd ever been a part of. I saw the rear wing of the same car for 270 laps or 250 laps. This year, that wasn't the case. This year, you could actually get through traffic. This year, you could actually pass people. You could actually make a difference when you had new tires versus, you know, older stint tires. I think it was a pleasant surprise to many, and I will count myself in one of those, because I didn't really think it was going to be working until I really didn't have another option than to start exploring with the lanes. And when I started exploring like 1.5, 2, I was like, this is working. So then I just stayed there. My car felt better there, especially in race 1. Race 2 was a little bit more difficult, but like, guys were making their cars work up there, and it made it a lot better than what it was supposed to be.